What is the most offensive joke that you've ever written?
If only Africa had more mosquito nets, then every year we could save millions of mosquitoes from dying needlessly of AIDS.
I'm okay with trans women competing in women's sporting events, as long as I'm allowed to bet. Yes, I would like to put all my money on the lady with the size 11 sneaker, please. I've got a feeling about her.
Now there's just certain people I have no time for. Like if you're sexist or homophobic, or if you don't believe in conspiracy theories. I understand not all of them, not most of them, but you don't believe in any conspiracy theory? You just think the government's just batting 1,000 and telling us the whole truth? That's a strong stance to take. A government is placed in charge of all of its people. I'm a father who's been placed in charge of just one son. And I lie to that nigga all the time.
You know, we criticize women for a lot of things we don't criticize men for. One of those things societally that we don't like. Sleeping our way to the top. We really don't like this. Oh, she slept her way to the top. She doesn't deserve what she got. She does deserve it. That's a very difficult thing to do, I've found. I can't even get anybody to text me back after we hook up, let alone write me a letter of recommendation.
I told an abortion joke recently, and a woman approached me. She was like, hey, that's very insensitive. I've had an abortion. You shouldn't tell jokes like that. I was like, whoa, hey, sorry. I just told a joke. I think what you did was much worse. But, you know, either way, I'll see you at home later, honey. And again, all jokes. I love abortions. I paid for 2 last week. I'm a fan, right? You remember? Come on. It's all jokes. A friend of mine, she works at Planned Parenthood. She loves that joke. And I was like, I might have to get rid of it. People don't like it. She's like, no, you got to keep it. I was like, I might get rid of it. She's like, no, you got to keep it. I was like, I might get rid of it. She's like, no, you got to keep it. I was like, I might get rid of it. I was like, don't tell me to do with my body of work. She's like, every joke's a miracle.
The guy goes to a job interview. The job interviewer says, what's your biggest fault? The guy thinks for a minute. He says, honesty. The interviewer says, I don't think honesty is a fault. The guy says, I don't give a f*** what you think.
Someone told me I look like I own a snake, and I don't know if you've had a one-sentence intervention before, but that shit changed my life. When I found out I look like I own a snake, I became a different person, dog. Like, I stopped eating dinner at the gas station. I got my GED. I sold my snake.
I'm not a man's man. I'm not good with cars or anything. It's embarrassing. Like last week, I got a flat tire right next to a homeless man. So I was looking at him for help. For once, it was like opposite world. He's like, spare change? I'm like, change spare?
When I'm here, I'm always tempted to get a haircut. It's a very cool city. You know what I mean? Where you're like, oh, I'll get a cool haircut in a cool city, you know? And I went by Bishop's, right? I saw some signs on the windows. It was like LGBTQA owned. And I was like, tight. Female owned, tight. They have a Black Lives Matter sign, tight, right? I walk in, I'm sitting, and then a black person walked in, and they're like, hey, I just want to know, can you guys cut black people's hair? And they're like, no. Welcome to Portland, you know what I mean? They're like, your lives matter, but we don't cut the hair. We don't know. It's wild that you can be a professional barber and there's just a whole race that you're like, nah, I can't do it.
His millennial names are dumb, dude. I met a dude the other day named Jathan. Not Jason, not Nathan, just Jathan. And I don't know about y'all, but I'm horrible at remembering people's names, so I like to say it to them in conversation so it gets stuck in my head. So I was like, hey there, Jathan. Nice to meet you, Jathan. Very interesting name you have, Jathan. And he looks back at me and goes, wow. Are you 30th right now? Some of y'all are probably going to get that one on the ride home.
Some people say that vaccines cause autism, but when you think about who makes vaccines, it's scientists. Bunch of socially awkward dudes who don't make eye contact, focus on a very narrow topic for a long period of time. I think autism causes vaccines.
I don't have a degree. I didn't even go to college, and I'm glad I didn't because I do this, so I don't have to go to college for this. And all of my friends that went to college are in crazy debt, like real debt. I got a friend that's $80,000 in debt with an English degree. I learned English for free. This is the first thing I learned. This is the first thing I learned. And I talk to this dude every day. I understand everything he's saying. He doesn't know a special kind of English. He doesn't talk like the Game of Thrones. It's just regular English. And you know what he does for a living? He teaches English. Because that's the only thing you can do with an English degree. So pyramid scheme.
It's easier to go out with a non-Jewish girl, right? The things you can do with a non-Jewish girl you can't do with the Jewish girl. You can say to her, Christina. That's their names. I'm giving you one rose because you're the only one for me. Like, oh my God, he's so sensitive and sweet. It's because he's Jewish. Pull the same stunt on a Jewish girl. Honey, I'm giving you one rose because you're giving me one rose because you're too cheap to buy 11 more. Is why you're giving me one rose.
And I was at this party and I was talking to this guy and I was like, has anyone ever told you that you look like a fun-sized usher? And he was like, I'm Usher. I feel like relationships are hard in general, even if you're not married, but I think they're harder for girls. Because as girls, you're raised being told all this fantastical shit about what your love life is gonna be like. Your dad calls you princess, and you're like, oh my God, there's gonna be a prince and a horse in a castle. I'm in. And my dad just called me squirt. And I couldn't even live up to that. I did notice that when I quit drinking, my husband started collecting expensive whiskey. Thought that was a little annoying. So I was like, babe, how come when I quit drinking, you started collecting whiskey? And he was like, I have been trying to collect it the whole time.
My friends' wives try and set me up. We'll be at dinner. Greg, I've got it. You need to meet Karen. She's perfect. She might be, but women tend to exaggerate how perfect their friends are. I don't trust them. I have to check it out with my buddy. It's an awkward situation for him. He wants to give me information. He doesn't want to make her mad. It's the quickest head shake you'll ever see. You know, it's like that thing. It's like an owl. So, hey, buddy, if you saw it, great. If you didn't, you're on your own. I'm not going down for you. Did you just give him some sort of signal about Karen? No, honey, I love Karen. Greg, you should marry Karen.
Because look, I grew up left too. You know, my mom's a human rights lawyer. I get it, okay? But here's my advice. Just think about it. Young people, think about it. When you get married and you have a kid, you might want to marry a Republican woman, okay? Like, because they actually like want to be with the kid and raise it. You know, that's good. Just that kind of just surfed around the room. That thing just traveled like COVID. Just. Is it true? It's a little true. It's a little true.
true. It's a little bit true. When I was younger, I played on an all-Jewish basketball team. And we weren't very good because we were all Jewish. The games would be embarrassing, not even close. I remember one game, it was 50-10 at halftime. And our rabbi came into the locker room. He was our head coach as well as our rabbi. And he said to us, he goes, Jews, that was our team name. He goes, what do we need to do to win this game? And we all agreed. We said we need 5 black kids.
One of my friends was like, I got this dating site for you. Comes over. It's a prison dating site. Incarcerated women was his suggestion. And we laughed for like 5 minutes. But then like minute 6, we're like, there's some attractive women here. But then it shows you the crimes they commit. And you're like, double homicide's probably a bad idea. You know? But they have actual profiles. One of them actually said, I love the outdoors. You're like, yeah, I mean, obviously. I mean, turns out you like money laundering a bit more, unfortunately. But
if I did have to pick on millennials, I think our big issue is we're too self-aware. We know exactly what's wrong with us and why, and I don't know if that's healthy. Because nobody seems to be getting better. They just know what's wrong with them. You know, everyone's like, I have anxiety. And it's like, oh, what are you doing about that? Nothing. I'm telling you, so you work around it.
Oh, we love mocking middle America, don't we, New York? Don't we? They're so fucking stupid, aren't they? They also grow all your food, don't they, you little fuckers, don't they? You little soft-handed liberal scum. You'd bleed if you looked at a shovel, you little cunts, wouldn't you? You don't do a single useful thing for the planet, you little fuckers. Isn't that true? You'd die in a day without Republicans, wouldn't you? Yeah. You can't eat a podcast, can you? Yeah. There's no protein in slam poetry, is there? Yeah. That's what I hate about New York. People think they're so tough here. It's so annoying. They're like, you can make it in New York. You can make it anywhere. Nah, you die in a day on my uncle's farm, man. He doesn't have clean drinking water, sriracha, or feminism, right? Well, he has sriracha. He calls it Chinaman ketchup. But I was thinking, it doesn't make sense that conservatives don't like abortion. You're going to love this. It's so funny. You'd think conservatives would love abortion, right? It's such a conservative thing. Abortion's just dead liberals. We're not aborting farmers and electricians, dude. It's just piles of music theater majors.
It sucks being single at 29 because it's like, you know, which way do I go? Do I go older or younger? Right? Like, I know 18 to 22, I know that's done. I can't fight in that weight class anymore. I can't compete. 18 to 22-year-old girls live different lives. They get things for being young and hot. They're like, I want to be on a boat. Then they're on a boat. Like, that shit just happens. Just manifests. What's France like? And they live there for 3 months, rent paid. Very frustrating. I've been living in New York about 6 years now, and when I first moved there, I had a huge fear I was going to get mugged. Constantly. Like, every time I left the house, I was like, here it comes. Someone's going to take everything. I got over my fear because I learned a trick, and now I use this trick all the time. Whenever I think someone might try to beat me up or mug me, I fake a Russian accent. You're welcome. It's genius. I'll be walking home late at night. 2 dangerous-looking thugs walk up to me like, yo, man, you know what neighborhood you're in? You think this bad neighborhood?
I like growing up in Georgia. I just didn't like having immigrant parents. They're very difficult, especially when it came to education. My dad would, every time I got a report card, my dad would always say, B is for bad. Right? Y'all have heard it. This table of Indian women have heard it. You say B is for bad, and C is for you cannot live here anymore. You have to get out. D deported. Everybody's leaving. F, find a new family. I don't know you.
I remember one night I was with a girl, I was like 20 years old, I was already doing stand-up, and I did a show in Washington, D.C. And after the show, one of the waitresses came back to my hotel. She was really cute, and we're making out in my hotel, and she's into it. She's like humping me. So I start putting my hand up her shirt, and she stops me. I'm like, okay. So then we're making out more, and I start putting my hand on her ass, and she stops me. So after a while, she went home. Nothing happened. And then the next night I started the club, and she goes, hey, what happened last night? I was like, what? And she goes, how come we didn't have sex? I was like, because you didn't want to. She's like, yes, I did. I was really into it. I was like, why did you keep stopping me? And she goes, because I wanted you to just go for it. I was like, what does that mean? She says, I'm kind of weird. I get turned on when a guy just gets frustrated and just holds me down and fucks me. Like, that's a big turn on for me. I was like, well, you should have told me. I would have happily done that for you. And she says, no, it has to feel real and dangerous. I'm like, what are you, out of your fucking mind? You think I'm just going to rape you on the off chance that hopefully you're into that shit? And the one that really killed me was last Christmas, we canceled a song that was written in the 1940s called Baby It's Cold Outside. People said that they were triggered, that the lyrics were rapey, and they had toxic masculinity. And that's fine if you feel that way, but radio stations across the country wouldn't play the song because people were outraged. Which is fine if you feel that way, but at the exact same time, the number one song in this nation for over 2 months was Wet Ass Pussy. I am not making that up. You can look it up. Google it. So I want to wrap up my show by comparing and contrasting the lyrics of these two songs. If indeed this country has lost its fucking mind, shall we? Let's start with the horribly offensive Christmas song written just after World War II. I really can't stay, baby, it's cold outside. I gotta go away, baby, it's cold outside. This evening has been so very nice. Yeah, you fucking with some wet ass pussy. Bring a bucket and a mop for this wet ass pussy. Beat it up, N-word, extra large, extra hard. Put this pussy right in your face, swipe your nose like a credit card. My mother will start to worry. Beautiful, what's your hurry? My father will be pacing the floor, listen to that fireplace roar, well, maybe just half a drink more.
I think the main difference between conservatives and liberals is that I think conservatives just like Trump. I think they just like a straight-up con man, like an honest, in-your-face con man. But liberals want more like a con artist, you know? Just a softer touch as we're being fucked. Is that so much?